Note, this video is part of a larger series on speed solving the FTO. Click the playlist link in the description to see the rest of the videos. Alright, so we just finished our last two centers, and now we're moving on to the last bottom triple. This step of the solution can be known to be pretty slow sometimes, but there are a few tricks that we can use to help speed it up and make it more efficient. Firstly, we want to remember to orient the last two centers that we just finished. I know it might seem strange that I'm saving talking about this part for this step, but there is an important reason why it's here. And that is because there are some nice cancellation tricks that we can do to help set up our last bottom triple case to be much better. The first one is to be able to avoid your triple corner from ending up in the slot prematurely. So here's an example of that. Let's say that we have these two centers finished, and we need to orient them correctly. So in my case, gray is going to need to go on the right side. So this top center needs to be oriented by doing a U move. And then this front center is going to have to be oriented with wide R U prime. But now you can see what this does is it puts that corner in that spot, which we don't want. So that means that we need to revise orienting that second center there. So there's a multitude of ways that we can deal with this situation, and there's no real wrong way to go about it, but I'll show a couple of examples. For the first example, let's say that we see that the corner is facing directly towards us, and the last center needs to be twisted with a U move. And that would clearly put it in the slot, which we don't want. So in order to prevent that from happening, we first want to move this corner out of the way. So we can do an F prime to bring this other corner into this position, then orient the center correctly, and then bring it back. And now this corner is now in that top layer so that we can then go on to forming our last bottom triple instantly. Now, there are some situations actually where that first solution is not always ideal, and here's one of those. So we have this corner here, and we already have a pair that's actually formed as well that we can see. But if we were to do that first solution that I showed, we can see that this pair is still going to be here, and it's going to be on the bottom. And we want to be able to flip our pairs to the top when we're doing our triples, so we would then have to do another flip to proceed. So for a situation like this where the pair is on this left-hand side, there is an alternate solution that we can use, and that is actually to place this triple in this slot and then orient the center normally. So that looks like this. So we do this move again to bring in a different corner. Now we twist the center the wrong way and then bring it back. Now from here we can then orient the center like normal and at the same time bring that pair up to the top layer, as you can see. So it saves several moves by doing that, and it's much more efficient. And then we can go straight into finishing the triple. Here's another example that we might come across. So this time the center needs to be oriented the other way, but now the corner is over here in the back. And again, we can see that if we were to try to orient the center, it would place it in the slot, which we don't want. Now we could just bring it this way and then do the same solution as before. But there's another way to do this that saves a move, and that is to instead rotate the puzzle this way, so we're looking at it from this angle, and then do the following solution. Bring this corner up here, twist the center correctly, and then bring this back. And once again we end up with our corner on top, and it took only 3 moves to fix that center. Now there is also another similar situation that we want to watch out for, and that is the case of what I'm calling trapped triangles. Essentially we have our last bottom triple corner that we're going to end up using to form our last bottom triple, and it uses 2 triangle colors to solve it, as we know. In this case it's going to be pink and yellow for me. So it's ideal to have those triangles on our top layer when we're going into the last bottom triple so that it's easy to use them and form the triple more quickly. In other words, we don't want them to get trapped into the bottom slot because it's just harder to deal with it. And here's a situation where that's going to happen. So as you can see, we have our last center that we're orienting here, but if we were to orient it correctly, it puts both of these yellow triangles into this bottom slot. And these are the only 2 yellow triangles that we can use with the last bottom triple corner here. As you can see on this last layer, there are no more yellow triangles. So again, we want to avoid this from happening, and we can do a similar sort of solution that we did for preventing the corner piece from ending in the bottom slot. As you can see, if we bring them out of the way, then orient the center correctly and bring it back, now we have these yellow triangles within our top layer interface here, and now we can then go into forming the last bottom triple just as normal. Alright, so now here's a little piece of ergonomic advice when you're actually completing your last bottom triple and matching up your pairs and then inserting the triple itself. Don't use hedges, only use sledges, and here is why. When we're finishing our equatorial centers, or I guess you could call them E-centers if you wanted to, we're holding the puzzle in this orientation with the centers around this R-wide layer here. So when we go to finish all of our centers, and that includes orienting them and everything, it's better if we don't rotate the whole puzzle after this step, because if we do a whole rotation, that's going to waste some time. And it's better to have a re-gripless solve as much as possible. So by using sledges, we can avoid this rotation, and I'll demonstrate this here. So we have this corner over here, and we can then use our right layer to start forming up our pairs and so forth. So when we form a pair here, you can see that if we do a sledge, we don't have to reorient the puzzle to flip it over. And now we have this pair on our right layer, or really our top layer from a sideways perspective here. And then you can see we have our other triangle down here, so if we do another R move, then you can see we completely form our triple. And then to finish, we can position our slot and then insert it. And so you can see we completed that entire last spot on triple without rotating the puzzle this way and doing hedges. So this helps avoid unnecessary puzzle rotations and makes it a little bit more ergonomic and more smooth to execute this step. So I highly recommend doing that. So now I'd like to finish off this video with a little bit more of a controversial idea, and that is being able to insert the last spot on triple without reorienting the puzzle, or at least doing it with way fewer reorientations than necessary. Now this does require learning a few more algorithms and cases, and I haven't done a lot of practice with it, and I really don't know if this is better per se. But I'm still going to put it out there because you may want to experiment with it. So basically, let's say that we're forming our last bottom triple, and again I'm going to assume that we're only doing sledges here and using R moves to pair up the triangles with the corner. So in this case I see that the last triangle is over here in the back, and here's this pair, so we can do an R prime to form this triple over here. Now normally the way that I would insert this is to orient this way, spin this layer over here, and insert. But as you can see, that required the whole puzzle reorientation and realigning this left layer. From this angle, we can actually do a quicker insertion that takes only 4 moves and puts it into this position, and it looks like this. And there it is, and then we can reposition the layer like that. So that was just me demonstrating the idea, but now I'm going to actually go through each of the cases. And here we are. So for each of these, I'm going to be using the yellow, light blue triple to represent the one that I'm going to be solving. For each of these cases, I will be showing 2 potential algorithms or solutions, I guess, that you can use. They are all 4 moves long, but some of them do require reorienting the puzzle slightly to get better ergonomics. Alright, so now let's get into them. So here is the first case. This is where we have our triple back here in the bottom right, and we can see that the white sticker is facing us, so we can see it. For this case, we set up to have our slot at the top left, and here's the first solution. And here's the second solution. This time we move the slot to the back away from us, and we do an FO prime reorientation, so we're holding it this way, and the solution is like this. Here's the second case. This time we have the triple again at the bottom right, but we do not see the white sticker. We can see that it's facing away from us. Again, I will be showing 2 potential algorithms. Here's the first one. We're going to make sure that the slot is at the top left right here. We do a UO reorientation, and we have this sequence. And here's the second possible solution. We move the slot to the bottom right here. We do an FO prime orientation, and we have this solution. And those are all the cases for where the triple is at the bottom right. Here's the third case. This time we see that our triple is at the top right, and again we see the white sticker. It's facing towards us. Here's the first potential solution. We make sure that our slot is at the bottom left right here, and the sequence is the following. And now the second solution, we're going to move the slot to the back away from us. We do a UO reorientation and do the following. Here is the fourth and final case. So this time, again, we have the triple at the top right, but now the white sticker is not visible and it's facing away from us, as you can see. Here's the first way to do this. We first make sure that the slot is at the bottom left. We do an FO prime reorientation, and we can do the following moves. And here's the second way. We're going to move the slot to now the top left, as you can see. We do a UO reorientation and do the following moves. And those are all of the cases. The rest of them, you're going to have the triple facing towards you, and these are the cases that I show in my beginner's tutorial video. I would like to reiterate once again that I have not experimented with this a whole lot, and I really don't know if this is a better way to deal with inserting the last bottom triple to save any time, but I'm just putting it out there just in case anyone wants to give it a go. I'm sure there's lots of other techniques that have yet to be discovered for this step to help maybe even influence the last 3 triples, but hopefully what I've shown here will make this step flow for you a little bit nicer. That's it for this video. Be sure to check out the others through the playlist link in the description.